Hello everyone. So I'm back, and it's rare that I do two live sessions in a day, and I just couldn't resist because I watched, which is a sequel of the film Joker, which was released in 2016, I think, and I heard really bad reviews about it, and after watching the film, I can understand why it got a negative response. Uh, Although it's not unbearable, it's just that the film was going nowhere. It didn't have a proper story, and they made it a musical just to drag it, and found an excuse to release a sequel. Um, Turns herself in prison, which is for mentally insane, criminally insane people. Arthur, the Joker, he meets her, something, just some magic happens, and he starts getting attracted to her, and because he somewhere didn't get uh, a proper childhood. He was abused by his mother, and he never had a father, so he didn't have a healthy sense of self, and he wanted constant attention. Somewhere he wanted to be, appreciated, and there's this uh, need for validation, uh, and they basically are trying to show that he basically doesn't have uh, a strong sense of self, like I said. So although, I mean, he wears the costume of a Joker, he does not see himself as the Joker. That Joker is just a mirror for the society, how people see him. So somewhere, there is a conflict within him, but he does not identify with Joker. He is just being himself, just like um, Batman is wearing a mask and that whole costume, but that is Bruce Wayne being himself. So he did not put a label on himself. People started calling him Joker, and somewhere a part of him was really wounded, because he was bullied and made fun of, and tortured, and you know eventually there comes a time when you've gone through extreme loneliness and sadness, and you you stop giving a damn. And uh, and they've shown how he becomes that character. So in the part one, and then this is continued, uh, which did not have much substance, you know. So this discussion is more on the character rather than the sequel. This film was just him going through a trial where he's uh, trying to escape. His motivation is Harley Quinn, the woman he's in love with. Uh, Other than that, he is suicidal, and he is more comfortable in the prison because he has somewhere accepted it as his life. Um it's quite an interesting. I mean, if you just focus on the character, it's quite uh, profound. If you just study the character rather than looking at the film, because one can see it from different angles. um, that character, Joker, is something that I think many people can relate to. uh, it's it's something that feels familiar to anybody who is who has been through trauma, uh, and then they have been uh, lacking this healthy sense of self, or identity crisis, and you are in this deep conflict, and a part of you, it wants to express itself, and there's this tug of war going on of animus, the masculine and feminine. There's a dance going on, you know which is exhibited by the woman when he meets her. He is going through sort of that romance, which is actually having within him, because he has been taking antidepressants or whatever, antipsychotic drugs that have literally shut him down. But the moment he sees her, he stops taking the medicine, and he that this his true self starts to come out. And the world wants to see Joker, but he's trying to tell people that this is who I am. This is not somebody who's separate from me. He wants to be accepted by others, maybe because he hasn't truly accepted himself. And that's uh, that's what makes it so interesting. That how people who worship certain people, who are celebrities or certain characters that we see in the society. For example, in this era, I mean, you can see it on the internet, on social media. People are following all kinds of influencers, uh, because they lack a strong sense of self, and they are looking for somebody who can take them away from their uh, identity. which is completely distorted. They're not happy with themselves, and that's the reason why people create this alias or a false identity or another identity, because they are escaping from their past, from their pain. um, and If it is a creative person, let's say, that person will find, uh, let's say, if there is a mime artist, he he is carrying so much pain, and the irony is that when he's wearing the makeup, he is, or she, whatever, on the stage, they are going as blank, although there is an appearance, but that is mimicking, uh, it's mimicking their actual emptiness, because an artist knows that everything is a performance, is an act, it's a makeover, it's a costume, and their true self is empty. So that's exactly what a joker, in a traditional sense, does when he is performing. He he is actually displaying, or he is expressing his pain, but people see it as silly or comedy or something amusing, and they, for them, it is this character, and starts selling that to people by making a mockery out of himself, because now he is enjoying that attention that makes him feel alive. He no longer feels invisible. It's like a child who seeks attention. He needs to be acknowledged. The moment he is ignored, he feels like he doesn't exist. So that's where narcissism comes in. There's a passive narcissist and there's this aggressive alpha narcissist. uh, and in some people, that spectrum can shift, like it can be extreme. The narcissist is in everyone, but the personality disorder that creates all these other mental issues, that you know that is something which is not that common, and this is the reason why certain people act in a certain way. Now, somebody can be a completely successful person, might be a leader, but actually they could be a sociopath, and somebody might have the same issues, but they may be completely like homeless or an addict, a loser, whatever, and the world doesn't know him, but he has that mindset, that state. you know he could be that tortured artist, and for him that doesn't matter, because he doesn't put a label on himself. Just like, it's like the world is calling you an artist, let's say, but you just see uh, this body as an expression of all the emotions, all the pain, and experiences, the memories, different elements. Uh, so it's interesting how seeing a person or any object or any event with a label, you put a stamp on it, you know, that changes the whole, the the reality of that entity. Um, Jiddu Krishnamurti, a famous philosopher, once said that a bird is no longer a bird or a tree is no longer a tree if you put a label on it. If you call it a tree, it's no longer that. You know, now you are seeing a tree and not what appears. So basically, we all are seeing the world from our lens. We are constantly making judgments and filtering everything, and we don't even realize we're doing it. So it's amazing, and I somewhere could relate to the character, um, and that's why I found the first film basically really powerful. Uh, I thought the sequel was lazy, or there was no need for that. But it's Hollywood is all business, so you can expect these things. Just like there was Matrix Part 2, 3, and 4. Fourth was completely horrendous. So what matters is that you study cinema, learn something from it, and discard what is not necessary. And if you go back to the inspiration of Joker, the film, first the character comes to the man who laughed. There was this really old silent film about this man who had this neurological condition where his face is always like this. Although he is in pain, you know, his his face remains like this, and people think that he is actually laughing, uh, but actually it's really painful for him because he doesn't have control over uh, his facial expression. That's a neurological condition, and he becomes this freak. And now the film was originally inspired by the king of comedy, uh, which was a Robert De Niro movie made by Martin Scorsese in, I think, late 70s or early 80s. Uh, it's a classic, no doubt, and I think it was a good attempt. The inspiration. Another character who was similar in cinematic history is the same Robert De Niro film. Basically, it's called Taxi Driver, and they also show a similar character who is living in isolation. He's lonely. Uh, he creates his own reality, and because he doesn't have a life, although he is a taxi driver somewhere, he has this repressed personality, and he wants to be this important person. Somewhere he desires to be somebody, but he doesn't know how to behave in the society. And although now he's trying to be charming to get a girl, but that is a mask he's wearing. And the moment he starts being himself, he gets rejected by that woman, because it's like you take off a mask and you see a burnt face or a monster, and that's traumatic in itself. That you are trying to be yourself in front of somebody, you're being naked, and the person you love with, they don't actually love you, they don't accept you as you are. And uh, and that's the thing, a character, when he doesn't have, when he loses it all, he's no longer afraid of dying. And uh, and this is the similarity in these characters. Of course, there can be, I'm sure there are hundreds of other characters you can relate to, uh, but what I'm trying to say is that when a person completely loses uh, their sense of purpose, uh, they have nothing to look forward to, so they they don't care anymore, and that usually goes in the wrong direction. It can be dangerous or destructive, because if a person completely loses their mind, they will they can do anything that comes in their head. And usually people, they take their life, you know uh, or they might uh, you know start living completely impulsively like a fool. And yeah, so this is the whole situation, and my analysis on Joker, Folie, or rather the character. And it's an archetype, like in tarot, you have the Fool card. It's the number zero is basically uh, is, is denoted by that card, which means that the Fool is uh, an this this seeker, or this person who is actually empty, or he's starting afresh. He he is embarking on this journey, and he's completely impulsive, and that's where the Joker card came in the playing cards. uh, it was inspired by the Fool, so they turned it into a Joker, which is basically the same thing. But I mean, technically, playing cards were used as divination cards before. Then they turned into playing cards later on. Um, Anyways, so it's interesting, when you understand the archetype, basically understanding the Jungian, Carl Jung's, the theory of uh, self, and how there are various characters existing in every person, and some characters are bigger than the rest, and you are basically you are fitting in that category. Like somebody could be a masochist, or somebody is an artist, or somebody is a child, you know somebody could be a fool or joker, whatever. So that's the whole scenario of how um, one can create this dissociation and uh, create this alternate reality and live in that, um, because somewhere we all are living in our own reality, but because it matches with the outer, with the collective reality, we are able to, I mean, majority of the people are able to sustain themselves or survive in this world. But people who drift too far away from, you know, the further they're moving away from that, it becomes psychotic, psychopathic, or whatever. I mean, so it's quite interesting, how the human mind is so complex, how it works, and we create so many things in our head that is fiction. Now we don't know where the inspiration is coming from, but there are infinite elements, forces, that affect us, and they uh, mold us into this character, or they develop our whole personality. And yeah, so another film that is interesting that comes to my mind is Persona. It's a really old film, but a cult classic. If you are a cinema lover, you must have watched it. And if you like watching good films, then do check it out. And yeah, so it's interesting to think about, certain characters. There are very uh, few films that have a, a character that has depth in it, and gives you something to think about. Because very few films are written well. Uh, Most films just focus on the glamour because they're trying to sell the product, and they're not focusing on the story and the characters. Just like you write a novel, very few novels, let's say 10% novels, are actually worth reading, right? And it's only because how they have been written, not simply what, but how. uh, I mean, that's the main thing, the how. So that's why Shakespeare is remembered, or people like Tolkien, and several other writers around the world who are celebrated, or artists who are celebrated. It's because their art reflected that. Uh, you know Truth, and how they expressed it is the real craft. So I'm gonna end this session right here. um, I'm looking forward to discussing something interesting in my next video. Hope you enjoyed this session. Do give me your feedback. Take care. Bye bye.